Alright guys and gals, welcome to round 2 game 3 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournament. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And we will be reviewing Magical Puffin on Gage versus Adept on Waylon. Gage has a boarding cost of 50, zone radius of 2, all units gain that default plus 10% offense and defense, and indirect/naval units get plus 20% offense and additional 10% defense. So the indirects and the naval thing could kind of maybe see Gage as either indirect, naval, both, but in the case of no naval units, then Gage can compensate with stronger indirects. As for his power, expands it globally, and the additional boost is that all of Gage's indirects have plus 2 max attack range.
Meanwhile, Adept is playing as Waylon, who has default boarding cost of 50, zone radius of 2, default zone expansion, and a day-to-day boost of 10/10 to all units, as well as an additional plus 20 offense and plus 30 defense to air units. So as you would see with his Super CO, in which he gains a lot of defense, all units get the 10/10, basically that boost goes global. Same, and then the air unit boost increases by having just a lot of defense. So, as you can see, Waylon is the air defense specialist. In this game, the defense calculation is different, but overall, this CO power will make his air units take about 1/4 of the damage that they normally would.
I calculated, it's exactly 1/4. Hold on. Alright, so those are both of our COs. Let us start with the game. So, Gage and Waylon, I can see them both working on this map. Gage being more offensive with the indirects, and considering how choky the sides can get, Gage can definitely play off with their scary, stronger indirects. Waylon, on the other hand, same situation with Tasha. Air units are pretty good on this map, and Waylon has a bigger CO zone that he can play with, unlike Tasha.
Yep, it's interesting because both of these COs are generally regarded as lower tier, but this map does... It actually, yeah, definitely helps some of the lower tiers compete.
They have a place on this map.
Yeah, the mountains definitely benefit both COs. The mountains, the rough terrain, all that kind of stuff, slowing down the game, tends to be good for both of these COs.
So, slight deviation with, looks like Puffin went for the airport first rather than the city from the one base side. Adept went for the city on the one base side. That should allow Adept to get a middle property on the one base side. Meanwhile, Puffin is already establishing a little bit of presence in the middle.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that really does, because right now it is pretty standard. You can make those decisions. I think what really will become a focus of that positioning, or of that kind of decision, is how aggressive they got on the sides. Sometimes people go for the radar. Sometimes people go for, like, you know, this far up city, which I don't tend to recommend. But also, I'm not great on this map, so so I can't really say what is like truly the best. It's really hard to say. But yeah, those things are definitely like things that you see. Looks like we're getting the radar for Magical Puffin. Pretty standard, can't be interrupted by Adept.
I want to talk about last turn real quickly. It looks like both of them base skipped, and both went for artillery. Artillery for Puffin makes a little bit more sense because it synergizes with their CO. For Waylon, maybe they're trying to possibly counter Gage with indirects of their own, but they won't get any attack boosts or increased range. So it'll be interesting to see what Adept does. Maybe we'll have the artillery just to keep things off of the radar, but it's already captured. And I think I saw plenty of base skips from Adept on the last turn, actually. Looks like they only built a tank on their one base side.
Yeah, it looks like Adept was not able to get that radar, but they were able to get some CO charge from that, so that might be decent compensation. We'll have to see. I mean, 10 energy for 1 income per turn. It's pretty... I think the income is kind of better, since there is that artillery. There's not really a way for Adept to capture that radar anymore. It's kind of a shame. But Magical Puffin has not boarded his CO yet. Although, I guess you don't need to rush for it. I mean, there weren't very many good candidates for a CO board just yet.
Not a big fan.
Could have been.
Yeah, tank. But yeah, tank. But not a big fan of Gage sitting in an artillery himself.
Yeah. It is possible, but it's just artillery in general, because they're not as mobile, and yeah, like you can't get them in. It's pretty hard to position them correctly to really make use of your CO.
Yep.
So yeah, I generally wouldn't recommend that either.
I kinda like the Duster from Puffin here. Oh, going for a Duster Gage. Okay, I've never seen that. But I was complimenting the Duster because the anti-air on the right cannot chase after the Waylon copter if it went towards the center. So an anti-air, but I guess in this case a Duster is what Puffin is opting for. It is a threat to the copter, at the very least.
Yeah, he's trying to mitigate Waylon's, I guess, strength. But basically he is boarding in a more expensive unit. It's also not like super beneficial. So I don't know exactly how that will play out for him.
Yeah.
But right now though, Adept is getting a really strong center. And Magical Puffin is kind of getting pushed out there.
If Puffin's idea was to have a mobile CO zone, I would have liked to maybe see a copter, because they are cheaper. But we'll just see what happens, and looks like Puffin did exactly that, just a mobile CO zone to fly around and assist with boosting all of the indirects there, which is actually kind of snug behind those mountains sitting on that radar. So Adept is slightly limited as to where they would want to be when it comes to going around that little choke. But looks like we're seeing Waylon getting a lot of charge, actually. Possibly might barely reach the 3 CO zone. But the only thing that could kill that copter is, or at least damage the copter, is that Duster. But there is a backup Duster behind Adept's CO copter. So Magical Puffin is kind of being pushed back on their one base side.
Yeah, there's not a lot going for him, because like that Duster has extra defense. So I think that's a battle that he generally loses. So, or like is even, but then there's that AA nearby that would take him down. So he can't go for that Duster. He has to back up. So in this way, I guess Adept was able to dislodge that Artie. But right now, though, Adept has a lot of space in the center, a lot of properties. But Magical Puffin is pushing pretty hard on the right too. I think Adept probably can and will prevent this cap, or maybe they won't, because okay, yeah, they will prevent that cap.
Makes sense. I kind of like what Adept here. I kind of like what Adept did a little bit. Like threaten the units to like move back, and just fly right over towards the middle and start threatening the other front. This is why air units are pretty stellar on this map. Just being able to harass and, as hate to sound like a broken record, but just ignore all the heavy terrain that prevents most units from shifting from one front to another. So this is just another example of having control of the center. Allows for great mobility, consolidation, and shifting of your army.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the income just for a second. I think...
Even?
Oh, it's even.
I want to see a unit count, go back.
But... I believe Adept is...
slightly ahead.
Yeah.
In both value and count.
In count, yeah. I mean, Magical Puffin hasn't built yet, but they still will be behind after they build.
Unless they kill some units.
Yeah, but
missiles.
A missile from Magic Puffin. That's interesting.
I feel like this isn't the first time we've seen that here.
I don't think it has. I don't think it is. Yeah, I think I've seen it before here on this map. It is getting towards the later stage of the game where we have seen it before. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. That checks out.
It's just showing you how powerful air units are. That our players are opting to build missiles.
Yeah, and Magical Puffin can't just go for like more dusters because they're not as effective against Waylon right now.
I don't know how I feel about this.
It is quite aggressive. He's trying to get that charge, but I don't know if this works. There are a lot of tanks around. So I feel like Adept kills that tank and maybe just leaves, or does more damage. Like, they could stay around. I think they would still be fine because those two tanks on the side are a threat, but they are also obscured by a lot of terrain, so it's going to take them an extra turn or so. But they're looking for some energy, and they're getting energy here.
Looks like just a little poke damage and like slightly backing off. If Adept is gonna stick around, hopefully they have a very good defensive position where Puffin can't get a whole lot of value. If they do choose to move in for an attack, right now it looks a little consolidated on the left-ish side. But those are just infantry that looks like they're keeping it together. There's mountains, there's wastelands, there's forests, sea tiles. Only air units can like traverse back and forth with each other. That artillery, anti-air tank on the bottom left side can't really cross through there so easily. So he's actually a lot more divided than it looks. But let's see what Puffin decides to do here. Looks like just more poke damage, just trading tank for tank. Battlecopters are moving towards the center, starting to ball up on the top side here to face the giant zone. Actually, I think the zones are the same. Yeah, the zones are the same. So trying to equal it out in the middle, see how Adept will respond to this. I would like to see the income again, and Adept is ahead by 2 income.
Yeah, because of this city.
Let's see if Adept goes for the interrupt.
I don't think that he needs to. I feel like he's gotten what he wants, which is
that is big.
I think he was trying to get the CO charge earlier. By owning that property, he's kind of baiting Magical Puffin into the center. Was able to get a bunch of small hits and to build up charge faster than his opponent. And now he is kind of just moving out of the enemy zone so that he can't get his charge unless he moves, in which case that CO power is certainly delayed by a turn. Adept is threatening a lot of captures here.
Holy crap.
He's also completely leaving, basically leaving the entire right side. Not that there's too much actually threatening that. You know, the way that those tanks at the top had to go through all that wasteland, and we see a resign. And understandably so, there's a pretty big advantage for Adept here. That turn was pretty big, he got a lot out of it, and Magical Puffin just wouldn't be able to stop a lot of these caps. They wouldn't be able to capitalize on the fact that the right side is, like, abandoned. I think, yeah, if this were to play out longer, Adept would get probably at least one, maybe two of those caps. But they wouldn't be fast enough to bring in all their forces from the center to the left side. Or they will, but they won't be able to push back against Adept in a way to get those properties back.
I would say that these units over here can get to the left side. These units, however, cannot. This missile here doesn't have a lot of range to even come into play as well. I was just about to say, I think the game-winning move for Adept was him recognizing that, you know, kind of spread out, you know, forming a death ball in the middle, but Adept knowing that the weakest side of Puffin's army is this left side here, and they just took advantage of it. Look at all these infantry and bikes in range of all these properties they could capture, and the fact that this little choke here it's like the only side with like no heavy terrain, so it was just like easy coming for Adept to just move into the left side and start attacking the weakest parts of Puffin's army, and I really love seeing that from Adept.
Yeah, I personally like this chain of turns that Adept had. I mean, like, they probably didn't like plan this all from back here, right? But by taking up the space in the center and getting this property, then Magical Puffin is pressured. Like, okay, look at the map. This is supposed to be Magical Puffin's city. It is closer to his territory, so, you know, naturally that's what you go for. And over time, both parties kind of consolidate towards the center, but Adept is just faster here, has these tanks coming in from the right side, which are some of the these tanks, these other tanks, and these battlecopters are the core of his army. And he's just able to get all that stuff faster into the center, get some good trades, and generally get charge faster. And yeah, so then Magical Puffin is forced to back up, but you know, their idea was to just get this city, but Adept's idea was to use that city as well. I'm just speculating. It could have been, or maybe it's just the result of all of this, is that Adept kind of makes Magical Puffin go for that city in the process of all of this. Gets more charge, gets better trades, and then is able to shift over. Adept owns this choke point, so it's really hard for Magical Puffin to really get in at this point. And yeah, then it's GG. So yeah, I like that kind of course of turns.
Magical Puffin also didn't really build enough indirects to play into Gage's strengths. I think I've only seen 3 indirects, and one of them was just built last turn. The other was a missile. An artillery was built on one front. An artillery was built on the other front. Gage was in a duster, but that duster wasn't like even able to like go back and forth and like try to give damage boosts to the artillery. Artillery, I think, are very strong in pairs or groups, because if you go for one, then the other can cover that artillery and etc. That's how you get those death balls going, I would have. I mean, yes, Gage is not Grit, where they have weaker tanks, so building tanks is fine. But if you're going to pick Gage, at least maybe try to play into Gage's strength, and that's just to build a lot more indirects and have them cover each other, instead of just spread out like that. And we understand this. We understand the strength of air units on this map, but I'm still unsure about the missile pick.
Yeah, I don't know about the missile, but it's hard to say though that, you know, as Gage you should just spam indirects here, because the main problem here was so in some games we've seen on this map you tend to get like stagnation on the sides and then just a little bit of play in the center. Usually the center is also generally stagnated by maybe like a couple bikes supported by a tank or two, maybe an AA2. But that's not exactly what happened here. What happened here was Adept took, you know, practically full control over the center. To the point where he was just like threatening like a lot more income. Like, even though magicalpuffin technically had both sides, he had both radars on the side. Adept had these two radars in the middle, and then was getting this city over here. Whereas it's a little bit harder for magicalpuffin to actually go for some of these cities, or the city over here. Like, if there was a lot more stagnation on the sides, then the arties would become more powerful. Then it would be easier to build indirects, but that just wasn't the type of fights that were occurring in this map or on in this game. So it's hard to say that he should have just built more indirects, I think.
I would at least like to maybe see some indirect consolidation from the Gage, but air units can do well against indirects. It's kind of like the Advanced Wars trilogy. Indirect specialists hate air units because they have to build other units to combat that, and Waylon was an air specialist, so definitely the air units came into favor for Adept here.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mainly just that air units are, you know, quite strong here. I guess in this case, air units are just better than indirect units here.
In this case, yes.
Who would have thought? Yeah.
Choky, heavy terrain, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Also, I think both players played well. I didn't see any obvious mistakes.
Yeah, no obvious mistakes
from either. So, yeah, it was a good game overall. Demonstrated the power of the air units. Yeah.
No major mistakes here. Yeah. Alright, guys and gals. Adept moves on to round 3 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournament, defeating magicalpuffin. GG's magicalpuffin. If you guys are looking for more games, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'll keep pumping them out. We'll get all the games out. And I guess we'll just see you next time. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And you all have our warmest regards. Please take care.
Thanks for watching.
Ciao, ciao.